Hello and welcome back. You're here with the Lone Wolf once again. Today's article is from Medium by Claire Lowe, and I just had to cover this one, guys. I saw Better Bachelor cover this a while ago now, but this has been hovering around my browser for some time, and I thought this is just too good to pass up. Let's begin. I'm a Phlegminist, and I think he should pay the bill. One thing doesn't cancel the other. Oh, I think you'll find that they do. The dating world is full of rules to follow. During my single years, I've had countless dating experiences. It was a time when I built most of my current beliefs on relationships and love. One of these dates put me in a dilemma. I met Mark through a friend in common. It was my first year of university, and I was still getting to know the people and the place. Mark was friendly and energetic. He was also my type, tall, blonde hair, with a perfectly white smile. In summary, he checked all my boxes. So when Mark asked me out on a date, I accepted with no hesitation. We went to a nice restaurant where we could talk and get to know each other. I had mentioned to him that I loved Italian food, so he chose an Italian restaurant. The conversation happened very naturally. Since we studied at the same university, we exchanged impressions about the courses, the people, and the campus. Besides, we found some hobbies in common. We both love gaming and reading. The trouble happened towards the end of the date. Oh yeah, when they pay. When the check came, Mark asked if we could split the bill. Now that is not an outrageous request, and yet it made me cringe. Yeah, that's called your DNA talking to you. Since I'm a Phlegminist, people tend to believe that I should also pay the bill. It's the price you pay for equal rights, they say. Yes, I am pretty independent. Even at that time, I already had enough money to cover my bills, including going out. But when it comes to dating, I firmly believe that the man should pay. Shock horror. Although it is an unpopular opinion, being a Phlegminist has nothing to do with that belief. For me, both ideas can coexist perfectly. Yeah, that's called cognitive dissonance. It's doublethink. Go read 1984 and come back to me. Here's why the man should pay the bill when he asks you out on a date. He's trying to conquer me. Dating is the art of conquering the other person. He's trying to conquer me. What? There's a number of questions you try to answer during the date. Is he a nice guy? Do I see any red flags? And the ultimate question, will there be a second date? When a guy offers to pay for the date, it's a clear sign of interest. It's an unconscious message that he'd like the date and would like to see me again. This action is a way to try to conquer me. It shows that he is kind and wants to see him in a good light. In the opposite scenario, when the guy expects me to pay for the date, I'll understand that he doesn't care about conquering me. What nonsense, what are you talking about? It's not even you paying for the date, it's splitting the bill, because then it shows that if you obviously don't subscribe to the traditional gender roles view, it's about equal valuation of time. That's what it is. If a dude has to pay, and he always has to pay for dates, that basically shows that your time sends out the message that your time is more valuable than the dude's time, which it isn't. Paying the bill doesn't guarantee a second date, but if his actions say he's interested in me, I'm more likely to go for a second date with him. And saying you're interested in someone is easy. Acting accordingly shows commitment. I don't know, you could just ask him if he's interested, or if he decides to ask you again at the end of the date if you want to see each other again, then that clearly demonstrates interest. What's it got to do with paying the bill? It sets your standards. The first dates often set the tone of the relationship. When you let him pay the bill, it's a way to say that you demand to be treated well. It's like you're saying, I know what my worth is, and I don't accept being mistreated. What's mistreatment about you just having to pay for your half of the date? How is that mistreatment? That's being responsible for your own actions, is it not? You know, you've enjoyed the date, he's enjoyed the date, you've both eaten food, you've both had drink. If you split it down the middle, what's the point? What's the problem with that? Why is that mistreatment? No, if you're a Phlegminist and you think this way, you're a hypocrite. You want to take the best parts of traditionalism whilst benefiting from the newest aspects, the benefits of the Phlegminist movement. Pure hypocrisy, doublethink, garbage. Now, it doesn't mean he has to worship you, but being kind is the least a man can do in a relationship, and offering to pay the bill is an act of kindness. It's an indicator that he's a man who knows how to appreciate you. Isn't sharing his time an act of kindness as well? He's sharing his time, he's sharing his resources with you. Time is the most important resource. He could be doing something else. He could be working. He could be having, a social with his friends. But no, he's choosing to go on a date with you. So is that not an act of kindness? It's kindness to approach you if he's already dating you and then asks you out again. Do you want to go to the movies? Do you want to go and get some food? Do you want to go and travel somewhere? Go and sightsee something? He's giving up his time, his minutes of breathing on this planet for you. That's kindness. This is just garbage level thing. It's low IQ thinking. Phlegminism is about being equal. Knowing what you expect from a man and voicing your needs empowers you. It's the foundation for a healthy relationship. Clearly, not when it comes to bills and food for you. In the end, having standards and being treated with kindness is a step towards an equal relationship. It's a way to make up for the hidden investments. Even when the man pays for the date, women have to spend more money. Before leaving the house, women invest tremendously in the date. They are what I like to call the hidden costs of a date. You will likely buy new clothes, or at least wear your best clothes and makeup. If you genuinely care about the date, you'll also go to a beauty salon to have your entire body shaved and have your nails done, not to mention the investment of time. Wouldn't you do that anyway? You would. Tell me. You would do that eventually, anyway, if you care about your appearance. What about the grooming that a man does? I mean, it's not to the extent that a woman does, of course, but a man still grooms himself, still buys new shoes, maybe a suit if it's a swanky place. He invests as well. What's worse is that men are not even aware of these investments and often don't appreciate it. Now, not all men are sloppy. The most charming men love putting energy into their looks by wearing nice clothes and even good perfume. At least she acknowledged it. So yes, men also have hidden costs at times, but the male efforts will never be equal to the female efforts when it comes to looks. If we're going on about the hidden costs of investment in dates, let's say that they'd actually met on Tinder or Bumble and Match and things like that, and they'd arranged the date through that. The man is going to have invested substantially more time on setting the date up and actually on getting to talk to her in the first place, right? The dude is going to spend countless hours more than the woman to find someone he's attracted to and vibes with to actually set the date up in the first place. And time is much more valuable than the money. And let's say it takes him, 10 to 12 hours, let's say, of total invested time to arrive at this date where he's now being asked to cover the whole bill. That's 10 to 12 hours. Let's say he's earning good money. Let's say he earns between, I don't know, say $60 to $80 an hour. You're talking $600 plus of investment that he could have placed elsewhere. He could have put that time, those hours, into work or into a side hustle or something like that actually pays him money back in the future. You're just looking at this from a completely solipsist point of view. It's selfishness, it's solipsism. When a man offers to pay for the date, I see it as a way to appreciate my previous efforts, and this logic makes us equal, like Phlegminism says we should be. This is complete roundabout thinking. It's garbage. Intellectually flawed thinking. Believing that Phlegminist women should always split the bill is a simplistic view of the world. In reality, dating is a complex process, and being a Phlegminist is even more complicated. Although I believe men and women should be equal, I also believe that men can put more effort into conquering women. How men conquering women, that just seems to be completely anathema to the Phlegminist worldview. Yes, a woman can pay the bill if she wants to. It doesn't make her an anti-Phlegminist, but at times women just want to show that they are independent, and it stops them from seeing another perspective. Accepting kind gestures from men doesn't kill your independence. Well, it's not a kind gesture if you're demanding it, is it? It's not a kind gesture, it's a pressurized gesture under duress. Let's have a look. I can't wait to see these comments. Cannot wait. Rastin Mayer. This action is a way to try to conquer me. This right here is the problem. No, he isn't trying to conquer you. He is trying to find a meaningful connection and hopefully a relationship. The conqueror and being conquered culture is some outdated heteronormative concept that needs to be put to rest. because it is harmful to people across the gender spectrum. Jeff, 100% absolute unmitigated BS. I cannot think of a better example of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. Is it only the woman who is entitled to know that she will be treated right, and that this is the required way to send that message? It's hilarious. Again, I don't know how you can possess this doublethink. Sheer cognitive dissonance. You are not a Phlegminist. You are a Phlegminist only when it suits you, when it benefits you and serves your purpose. Maybe the correct word will be convenient Phlegminist. Yeah. Fact. Gynocentrist. Yeah, exactly. This fella gets it. The man paying is not a kind gesture when it is a woman's standard of expectation. Essentially, you want a traditional man without being a traditional woman. Entitlement without accountability. No thanks. Well said, my friend. You've absolutely nailed it. And this Lynn's woman clearly is comfortable with this level of doublethink. Are men these days deserving of a traditional woman? F no. Never have been and probably never will. Those days are long gone when women didn't have the option to leave an unhealthy marriage. The days when women couldn't survive on their own because men made women dependent on them. So traditional woman means a forced, subservient, dependent slave to a piece of man-child. Yeah, she's not a very pleasant person by the sounds of it. And hopefully she's getting called out here. So you want the men to be the slaves then, kissing and worshipping the ground you walk on while giving you every cent in their name. Yeah, you're real traditional, all right. Where did I say I was traditional? I didn't, but knowing what the traditional wife entails, I know men don't deserve one. It's very dismissive of an entire gender. There's a reason why most women file for divorce more than men. There's also a reason why unmarried, no children women are the happiest, whereas married with children men are the happiest. What? Learn to write properly. OMG, men are either hot or cold. There's no in between. I don't have the time or the patience with IENTS to explain something that should already happen. Did I say all that BS in my comment? F no, so don't put word. Yeah, she's a really pleasant person and, has full command of the English language. Michael LeBauer, that's a long rationalisation for double standards and cheapness. I believe in paying for dates too as part of chivalry. It is inherently unequal, but your attitude is rank hypocrisy. You want your cake and eat it too, and are twisting yourself in knots to justify it. Yeah, bang on, my friend. Bang on. Now, if I invite a girl out on a date, I will pay, because you're my guest, right? And if you look back, I think 10, 15 years ago now, there was some videos out there of Mark Rudolph. I think you can still find them on YouTube. And I agree with his attitude that, if you're a dude and you happen to be able to be in a situation where you ask a girl out on a date and you meet them, you really should pay for it, unless you've gone to some ridiculous, expensive place that's you have to cut your arm off. You should pay because you've invited them out. And then if there's an attitude of entitlement, that's a red flag. If it's like, oh, where are you taking me again next time, blah, blah, blah. You should, if that attitude is there, the entitlement, then that's a big, big red flag. If there's no reciprocity there, then you've got a selfish, solipsist person on your hands, and you need to get rid of them. Alan Teagle, equality means reciprocal action also. After a few dates, you should feel confident to ask him out and foot the bill to show you are independent and desire him for his masculinity and time and energy. It should also lead to discussions about interpersonal action within relationships and expectations and standards. Sexual preferences and expectations are unique and choice-driven, and no one should ever have anything to explain, but with every action expectation comes a hidden cost. I don't quite get what he's on about there, but I agree. This person here is like, I agree that the person who invites should also pay. I always said that when women offer to split the bill, that if they wanted to do the inviting, I'd be happy to let them pay, but making up for hidden investments, that's a new one for me. Looks to me that you want to be independent when it suits, and you want to fall back on traditional roles. Very telling is, I know what my worth is. Worth a whole lot of Advil. Jeff is back. I agree in theory with the concept that the one who extends the invitation should pay the bill. The problem is that in the real world, the extending of invitations does not fall equally upon men and women. I'm not a psychologist or a sociologist or a statistician, but it is my guess that at least 80% of first dates are at the initiation of the man. That's correct. Absolutely correct. I think I've been asked out by a girl once in my entire life. And of those remaining 20%, I would not be surprised if when the check arrives, the majority of those women do not immediately pounce in it and say, "This is my invitation, let me pay." In my fantasy world, when the meal is finished, the inviting woman would excuse herself to go to the ladies' room, hunt down the waiter and pay the check before returning to the table, thus avoiding any issue of an embarrassment over who is paying. Were I the gentleman in that situation, I would be very impressed and be gracious by insisting that either the next dinner is on me or invite her to my home where I prepare dinner. Yeah, he's got some good points. Birds of Mind. I'm sorry, but the article and some of the comments show how deranged some people have become. It really doesn't matter what you think anymore. Men today now expect women to pay their half period. It doesn't matter how many rules you have or long lists you follow, he won't pay the full bill and sees you as an equal. If you expect him to pay, expect him to move on from you. You would be surprised how many men would not ever bother with you with this conceited attitude. Somehow my dates always insist on splitting the bill once I let them know I don't own credit cards and instead plop my burlap sack of pennies on the table. Nikola Zainov. My eyes hurt after reading this. What absolute nonsense. Steve Kaiser. He asked you out, he pays. All the rest and beautification, that's on you. I mean, really? But here's the kicker. If he ticked all the boxes and you didn't ask him out, you got a really long way yet to go and far from being liberated. The male tax is that you got to have the balls to ask them out when you're interested. Maybe they should be paying our bill by OP's logic. A wise man may assume if you are so hard to please for the little things, it's a good harbinger of a future with you. If you just put down his credit card to pay the bill, would you consider that a signal he considers you incapable of paying the bill and object to that as well? Yeah, there is that view. There is absolutely that view. I've assumed that before and it's bitten me on the backside, and I'll share that soon. I'll get my recollections together on that story. As Phlegminism is currently defined, many 35-plus women are destined to be alone with their cat and a box of wine. With girlfriends who agree with you all men suck. That is the logical future of a true Phlegminist believer. All rules, no room for compromise, and that's sad. Look at this. If he's white, he's likely making more money than me and has probably been promoted more often and with less legitimate reason. Oh, look at that. I mean, you can't deprogram hatred. So yeah, he can pay, but within reason. Also, depends if we're just dating or if we actually care about each other. Toxic thinking, right? Yeah, bang on. Once again, Bilbo has proved right. Yeah, nobody wants to date a miser, whatever the gender. Yeah, nobody wants to be with anybody who's cheap. You know, you've got to be able to splash out and treat someone. No one wants to be the tight-fisted person. We want humans who can be generous and don't want us with money, time, cuddles, anything they've got. Yeah, you want to be able to show abundance, and that's attractive not just to the opposite sex, but also to social circles as well. You know, it's good if you can treat your friends. If friends are visiting with you and you want to treat them, that's, you know, it's good for your self-esteem and it's good for building relationships and you know, strengthening those bonds as well. So yeah, in summary, this woman is a complete hypocrite. She's got serious doublethink and cognitive dissonance going on. She wants to have her cake and eat it too, and she is typical of the Phlegminist mindset in the 21st century. And she's going to be alone for my prediction is that she's going to be alone for a very long time, because what sensible dude would get entangled with her with this level of entitlement and you know, twisted thinking? Hope you enjoyed that, guys. See you again in the next video.